This is the Kitchen Sink WP podcast, episode 619.
I program my own computer.
We have a server crash, 404 error, page not found, links aren't working, system is crashing, system is crashing, system is crashing.
Your old HTML website, barely alive. We have the technology. We have WordPress. A new website, better than it was before. Better, stronger, faster. We have the technology.
Why, hello everybody, this is Adam Thurley, host of the Kitchen Sink WP podcast. Thanks for being here. Let's get started. All right, moving right into upcoming events. There are no WordCamps next week. Nothing yet this year. I think the week after we have some, so keep a lookout for that. Moving into segment one in the news, one thing to talk about here. It's been a light start of the year. We'll get to that in a second. But Ken Gagne, who used to work at Automatic. I met him at a conference at WordCamp. I'm not sure which one, maybe US, many years ago. He's a writer. He's amazing. He does some great writing. He wrote an article for Computer World, and he featured the 22 tech luminaries that passed away in 2025. Very interesting read. I'll put a link in the show notes, but I saw that online. Thought I'd share that. Kind of an interesting piece there for newsworthy type of content. Yeah, so there's that. All right, moving into segment two. This week, I'm talking about what 2026 has already taught me. A couple days in already. It's kind of crazy. So a few months back, actually maybe a year or so, I found out that a friend of mine in the men's group I'm in was sick. We didn't know really how bad it was at first, but this past weekend, we got word it's not looking good. So in our Slack group, the latest update was that he was being moved into home hospice and or hospice, depending on what the availability was. And there would be an open house this weekend to visit, which I did. Many of us did, actually. It was a very nice turnout, but it was tough, to be honest. So I share this as it's a new year. And well, I had some thoughts about all of this as it pertains to us as humans, business owners, employers, employees, and being a part of this, WordPress community. So I've broken it down in three parts, starting with number one, when someday feels fragile, meaning that seeing someone that close to the edge of life has a way of snapping things really into focus. Not in a dramatic movie scene way, more of a quiet clarity that settles in and does not leave you. As the things we keep pushing out, the plans that we have parked, quote, after this season, the goals that somehow always live a few months down the road. I'm so guilty of this, In business, in work, in creative life, we default to the future without even really noticing it. We assume that we have the time to cooperate. Well, I'm sorry, that time will cooperate and that we'll cooperate back equally. That our health, our relationships, and the joy can be treated like optional upgrades. We can do that later, always later, right? So that's tough. Yeah. Moving on to number two here, last month was a hard month, even in a happy season. So it was heavier for me than it probably looked from the outside. It marked, as I mentioned, I think last week, the 1 year anniversary of my son's accident. And those dates tend to land in the body long before they show up on a calendar. I did not see that coming, nor did my family or my son. December is supposed to be a joyful part of the year, and parts of it were, but it's not always that simple, at least not for our family. Life kept moving on, though, of course. I showed up to work, I took the calls, I did the job, because that's what you do, right? I get it. We all do that. Easy, not easy, it is what it is. Now, if I'm being honest, some of that weight showed up ever so slightly in my day job. Nothing dramatic, but enough that I see it now, I acknowledge it, and I know that I need to adjust moving forward. It's a reminder that we carry far more than people ever see, including ourselves, and that's okay. Now I get your heavy month might be different from somebody else's. December just happens to be for us, accidents, his birthday, New Year's, holidays. That's it for us. No, December is that month for us. It could be separate for you, different for you. So take that take that into consideration. Okay. And finally, number three, before anyone panics, just to be clear, this is not one of those episodes where I tell you to sell your business, quit your job, move to the woods, start making sourdough full time. It's not a YOLO on your savings, burn it all down. This is a quieter takeaway from that. It's more practical, less dramatic. It's about stopping the waiting, if you will, having the conversation you keep postponing with whomever it is you have to have it with, starting the thing that actually matters to you, and maybe caring for yourself with the same consistency and the intention you already give to everyone else. It really does come down to that. So to wrap it up kind of best I can, I think action gets misunderstood sometimes. We picture big moves, bold decisions, dramatic changes, but most of the time, action is quieter than that. It's about rest. It's about being honest in calling someone instead of scrolling. Sometimes it's just admitting that something is hard, that life can be hard. It can be sending that email you've been avoiding, saying no without over-explaining, or starting something imperfectly because later is not guaranteed. None of it is flashy, but it counts. And maybe that's the point of sharing this right now. It's the first week of January when the episode drops. That weird stretch right now where we are still taking stock of last year while pretending we already have this one figured out. We talk a lot about goals, plans, optimization, but the most valuable asset we actually have is time. And none of us gets an unlimited supply. I keep thinking about my friend, Sean, sitting there with him, how present that moment felt, gratitude, sadness, and a calm that only shows up when nothing else needs to be said. So yeah, there is a moral here. Not a checklist, not a challenge, not a change your life in 30 days thing, but just the truth that time is limited for all of us, which is exactly how we should spend it. Who we spend it with and what we keep putting off actually matters. So lastly, cancer sucks. All right. Moving on to segment 3, tip and tool of the week. This week's tip was given to me, in a way, by my good friend Dustin Hartzler. He was in the need of a way to do some geocoding, reverse geocoding for a website. He found a website called geocode.io. Check it out. It's free, up to, I think, so many entries. Pretty interesting looking. If you have a need to do some, actually, let me go check. Yeah, straightforward, easy to use geocoding, reverse geocoding, and data matching for US and Canadian addresses. That's what it says there. So check it out, geocode.io. I have no connection, just thought it was a cool tip of the week. Thanks, Dustin. And I'm going to wrap it up here. If you have any questions, go ahead, send an email, adam@kitchensinkwp.com, or use that speak pipe function on the website. If you want to support the show, I would love that. Become a Patreon, buy me a coffee, ways to do that on the website. You can sponsor the show. That'd be amazing. There's a form to fill out. I'll get right back to you. Thanks for listening. See you next week. Now go out and do some awesome things with WordPress. All right, bye-bye.